What up, people? How we doing, man? Mic check 1 2 1 2. You already know what it is. I want to check in with the people on one of the trending topics that are out there. Billboard actually put up a list of the top 100 artists of the 21st century based on the Billboard performances and whatnot. So a lot of people in hip hop spaces have accumulated this list and put together a top 10 rappers according to Billboard. So this is what was getting actually passed around, if you will. NFR podcast. Shout out to them. They do good work out there. They said the top 10 biggest rappers of the century, according to Billboard, 21st century. That is number one Drake, number two Eminem, number three Kanye West, number four Nelly, number five JayZ, number six Lil Wayne, number seven 50 Cent, number eight Kendrick Lamar, number nine Nicki Minaj, and number 10 Ludacris. Now, a lot of people are taking that as like a personal list, top whatever, whatever. But this is basically about the numbers. And I think that, if anybody understands the numbers, they understand the hits and the chart placements. And I think Drake has like, 13 number ones on the Hot 100. I want to say he has like 10 plus albums that were number one on the Hot 100. I don't think it's any surprise that he's number one. You know what? Honestly, I am somewhat surprised that he's number one over Eminem, but I think Eminem sold more in the physical era and in the digital era. Drake was able to capitalize because he has the features, he has the singles, and he has a lot of records, man. Like he does a lot of volume, and everything that he jumps on gets those chart placements. So, we can't knock that. Now, number two and number one to me isn't a surprise at all. Number three, Kanye West. I mean, I think it's interesting. I didn't realize that Kanye had that many number ones, but Kanye is possibly the biggest hip hop artist ever. Between him, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, and people like that. Like Kanye West is a household name. There's not many people you could talk to and say the word Kanye, or say the name Kanye West, and they don't know who you're talking about. So Kanye's up there. He's number three, 21st century. I think that speaks a lot to his level of excellence, his work ethic, his longevity, and and everything that he brings to the table when it comes to that. And Nelly being number four. Now, some people laughed at this because again, looking at Nelly like if we're talking about like just from a rapper standpoint, but Nelly is a hit maker, and I've said on this platform many a times, I feel like Nelly is probably one of the purest hit makers that hip hop has ever seen. What he did with Country Grammar, coming out the gate with no big time features, no big time producers, no big time cosign, and came out the gate doing 10 million with Country Grammar. No one ever heard of him or his crew or a rapper ever come out of St. Louis. I thought was remarkable. And then he kept going. Country Grammar, and then he did EI. Then he came with Ride With Me. And then he came with Hot in Here after that. Then he had Dilemma, another big record. Now, he may not have the volume of some of the other people who are on this list, but when it comes to making solo hit records and not having to jump on features to do so, or not having to have a huge big cosign, I mean, when I'm looking at this list, Nelly is extremely formidable and he's very unique in that sense. And I'm glad that he's on this list. Now, some of his more recent records that have crossed over from a country standpoint and things of that nature, I think have charted very high as well. But based on the fact that they're not huge in the urban market, I think people kind of overlook that. But we can analyze the numbers further with Nelly, moving forward as well. And JayZ number five. It's kind of surprising, but not surprising. I think that JayZ's hits are very deceptive in a sense. I think that a lot of his chart positioning does come from features. Now I'm gonna have to go back and do, even more research, but just based on his Grammy wins and some of the more notable records from Jay, they do come from features. And he is the most awarded hip hop artist at the Grammys, but very few of those records, especially in the 21st century, come from solo efforts. And I'm not saying that to be disparaging because I think I think Jay is one of the greatest that we've ever had. I got him number two on my all-time list, but I do think that JayZ's power in music and power in his ranking on these hip-hop lists are based on his non-hit records, based on records that are more so quote-unquote B-sides, the You Don't Knows, the PSAs, the The Evils, the the A Million and One Questions, the Streets is Watching type of records, and not as much as the New York State of Mind. I'm not New York State of Mind, Empire State of Mind. Now, Empire State of Mind was literally JayZ's first #1 record, and that to me, that's not a knock. That was in 2009. That shows you how grounded and how level of a foundation he has of fan base to be that big and never have a #1 record. It's incredible to be that iconic and never have a #1 record. That lets you know that you really been putting work in the pavement, man. You know what I'm saying? It's not about the crossover records with you. It's about what you bring to the table and what really sticks to the listener's ribs and ears, if you want to say that. Now, #6 was Lil Wayne. I think Lil Wayne has a similar situation as Drake. It's a volume thing. It's a feature thing. Wayne's run is one of those runs that I don't know if will ever be duplicated in this game. That run that Wayne had, it was a special mix of the traditional era and the digital era. It was the blog era. It was all of those things all encompassed. And so it was special, and it was one of those things that I don't think can be done again. His work ethic during that time period was insane. Nobody was matching his work ethic. Nobody was jumping on as many features. Nobody had the individual solo records that he had that was shooting up to #1. Wayne was on fire. I mean, when you say Wayne was on fire, like, I don't think that anyone could even begin to describe how hot Wayne was at that time. And speaking of which, #7 is 50 Cent. 50 and Wayne, to me, probably have the hottest era of anybody that I've ever seen. Like, when 50 was hot, 50 was super hot. You're not going to really find too many time periods where anything a nigga jumps on is going to be #1. Now, Drake has done this over a long duration of time. But for those who remember the G Unit era, remember 50 Cent when he came in, everything 50 was a part of was going to do numbers. Like, the G Unit stuff did numbers. Lloyd did numbers. Yayo did numbers. Buck did numbers. Like, Buck was probably one of the highest selling artists out of the South in that moment. Like, whether people want to believe it or not, the only rapper that Buck probably wasn't bigger than in the South at that point was Ludacris. He was bigger than everybody else. And that was off of the strength of what 50 was doing. So 50 being #7, no surprise here. His hit records during the time period that he was hot, man, like, it is what it is, man. He's tough to beat. Kendrick Lamar is #8. I think Kendrick is continuously growing. It's kind of a slow burn with Kendrick. Not to say that, he started off slow, but he didn't start off at the pace of any of these other people that are on the list. But I think that he's continuously growing his legacy. I think that from a chart standpoint and from a numbers standpoint, we're starting to finally see him be the hit maker that he was never thought of to be. He's the album maker in that collective. We talk about it all the time. Drake's the hit maker. Kendrick's the album maker, and, Cole is the hip-hop purist, if you will. But I do think that the tide is probably going to change a little bit after, what we experienced in 2024. I think of the three, Kendrick's going to start being the hit maker if he continues on. Like, it's wide open for him to do so because, to some degree, he has taken a little steam off of Drake and how hot Drake's been over a duration of time. I don't think that I've ever seen this many people not really jive with Drake in the way that, we saw in 2024. And Kendrick did that. Kendrick made that happen. It wasn't the fact that Rick Ross was saying this and that, no disrespect to anybody. It wasn't the fact that The Weeknd or Metro or whatever was going on with Drake and Future. It wasn't that. It was definitely Kendrick. It was the Kendrick effect. We got to give him credit for that. And Nicki Minaj, #9. Nicki, man. Nicki. Nicki is the most successful female hip-hop artist ever. She came during a time where, she was needed on all levels. There was definitely a mainstream female voice that needed to be heard. Before Nicki, I think Missy might have been the one that was before that was dominating the radio. But Nicki also was like, okay, well, I'm not only going to do that, I'm gonna hit the pop charts, and I'm gonna hit the rap shit too. Like, you know what I'm saying, from a street level. Now I do think that she did she did cater more to the pop world than she did the hip hop world. But I think that that was one of those things where she felt that, you know what, I've already proven to the rap world that I can spit. So let me go over here and make some hits. She made a conscious effort to make hits that were outside of urban radios and urban radio dials, and I think that is the main reason why she's on this list. And she has a lot of features. You know, that Young Money collective, man, when you got Young Money representing the big three over there is representing number 9, representing number 6, and representing number 1. That is a formidable three-headed monster. Even if you look at Eminem, 50 Cent, and Dre, we only got Eminem and 50 on here, and we know how powerful they were. Same thing with JayZ and Kanye. It's just 2 of them there. We got Nicki, Wayne, and Drake on this list. Young Money dominated the Billboard in the 21st century. We gotta say that. Cash Money, Young Money, whatever you want to call it. Birdman, gotta give Birdman credit where credit's due, man. As an executive, and you look at the Billboard charts, and you look at the numbers, and you look at the hits, and you look at the successes of their artists here, he has 3 artists that are, by the numbers, number 9, number 6, and number 1. And shit, Drake is number 2 overall. The top rap artist in the 21st century by Billboard. That's something to really give yourself a pat on the back for sure. Now, Ludacris, number 10. Oh, man, Ludacris. Shout out to Ludacris. Incredible hit maker. Ludacris, coming from the radio world and being the talented MC that he is, the talented songwriter he has a leg up on many, or had a leg up on many of the emerging artists, because he understood what a radio record was on every level. He understood it from a featured level. He understood it from his individual solo career, his albums. Ludacris can make you a hit. Ludacris is a pure hit maker, and at the same time, he's a spitter. He's somebody that can get in the Rap City basement and really go bar for bar with anybody. He could really rhyme. He could freestyle. He could go out there and make you a song. I think that really, if we're being honest, man, like in today's time, we are missing a Ludacris. Somebody who could straddle all of those lines. Somebody who could go out there and really spit, really adjust to all types of production, really jump on a record with all types of artists, or, you know what I'm saying, any feature, and could give you solo hits, man. Like, so Ludacris is extremely special, and I don't think that he gets the credit he deserves. And many of you will probably say, Michael, you don't give him the credit that he deserves. I do. I think Ludacris is incredible. I think that the only time that we riff, me and the fan base here and the viewers out here at According to Hip Hop, shout out to you guys. Mad Max specifically. Mad Max is a huge Ludacris fan. I think the only time that we differ is when we talk about Ludacris in comparison to T.I. And I just think that T.I. as an artist and, you know, subject matter wise, consistency wise, flow wise, and all that, I think that he trumps Luda. And I was here when T.I.'s movement was going on. It was very, very strong. And to see him elevate from where he elevated from, it was very impressive, and I would slightly put him above Luda in that respect. But if we're talking about being a hit maker and being an overall artist and, you know, being a straight up spitter, freestyler, and things of that nature, I don't know. It could be very, very close. But I know who I prefer as an artist, but again, that takes nothing away from Ludacris. I think Ludacris is incredible. I think that T.I. is probably the most balanced hip hop artist that we've ever had in the South in general. So that's how highly I think of T.I. But if we're talking in terms of Ludacris and what he's able to bring to the table, I'm so glad that he's represented on this list, and he's well deserved to be on this list. And when you think about the transition that he made out of music pretty much early, I want to say around like 05, 06, it's amazing that he is on this list, because many of the people that are on this list, they carried on for decades and didn't stop. So let me give you this list one more time. Drake, number 1, Eminem number 2, Kanye West number 3, Nelly number 4, JayZ number 5, Lil Wayne number 6, 50 Cent number 7, Kendrick Lamar number 8, Nicki Minaj number 9, and Ludacris number 10. Again, this is by the numbers. This is Billboard. This is based on chart placements, songs, features, and things of that nature. It's not anybody's personal list. This is a Billboard list that can be backed by actual data and actual numbers. So if you guys feel anything different, you feel like anything was missed during this little address, feel free to put it in the comments, man. Let us know. Let me know what you want me to cover next, man. Hit like and subscribe. A2H. Appreciate you guys.